What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Fuel for Growth podcast with myself, Niles, and Leonard. Leonard, brother, how are you doing today, man?
Man, doing good. Glad to be here for another episode, man. We got some good topics, man. How about yourself?
I'm good, man. I'm chilling. Life has been treating me well, but I tell you who hasn't been treating well, bro, is blue collar workers, man. I used to be an engineer, and you used to be a plumber, brother. And let me tell you, it's some of the hardest work anybody could ever do. That hard labor, that mental fatigue as well as physical fatigue. People don't understand that these are the guys who keep the economy running. And man, they're getting treated like shit these days.
Yeah, no, bro. It's crazy to think that the people that's putting in the hardest work to actually keep society going, we tend to overlook those people now. The electricians, the plumbers, the carpenters, the engineers, the mechanics, all those people we tend to overlook because well, I don't even understand why. Because bro, like the mechanics keeping your car going every day, plumbers keeping that toilet going, electricians keeping the lights on, the AC going, the carpenter's giving you the house. Like if we went back into the days of how it used to be, that if you couldn't build it or do it yourself, you didn't have it, bro, there would be so many people that would then value these things so much more because they know it's not an asset that comes very quickly to them. So bro, I just don't understand why we look down on blue collar workers, why they're not paid more, why they're not taken care of more, and why we don't shine a light brighter on those people that's actually keeping society and our infrastructure going, that we love and take advantage of every single day.
Yeah, bro. I see. This is something else that does bewilder me, and I think it's an education problem. Personally, I think that people aren't educated on how the world actually operates because nowadays everyone's focused on sociology and psychology and all these other things, and it's like, brother, these things have no bearing on whether the world works or not. These are simply us trying to figure out, hey, what is society constructed that's wrong? What should society change? You listen to these people talk, and what are they like, bro? Every time it's all like, it's society's fault. It's like, brother, some guys right now cleaning the poop that you left in the toilet, that you clogged up the toilet with because you didn't know you had to use wet wipes instead of toilet paper or whatever. And some geezers there cleaning it, fixing the pipe out and everything, and you're out here complaining about society. Like you're the problem, man. Like and these blue collar workers, man. This is like a general term for the guys at home that don't understand. Blue collar means engineers, mechanics, plumbers, essentially your hard laborers who also have to understand the skill. Though these aren't just people that are unskilled that are just like pick something up and move it there. No, these are people who have spent years refining their craft to become extremely good at what they do, and then they get paid jack all from everybody because everyone feels as though they're entitled to something better.
Yeah, bro, here in the city where I'm from, like in Muskogee, Oklahoma, bro, we have some plumbers here that own companies, and all of them that own the companies are 50 plus, and they're still out here doing the manual labors because it's small time plumbing. You're not a big franchise or a big corporation, so if your name's on the truck, you're still out there doing the work as well. So, bro, they out here doing the work, digging holes, crawling under houses, carrying these big old hot water tanks, all this stuff. And they 50 plus and still doing this stuff. And it's like, why are they still at this point doing it? Because it's hard for us to find people to do it because they look frown upon it. They don't think they get paid enough. The dating world makes it hard. Girls nowadays like seem like they're too upclassed for to date a plumber, and oh, you're dealing with that. You come home dirty and you're smelly, this and that. But a lot of girls just frown upon those things. Well, you can't give me the lifestyle I want, this and that. Not knowing the average plumber in America makes over six figures, right? So it's just they have this stigma of whatever that blue collar work is, just because you're a dirty worker and you come home dirty and you're hard working, that's a stigma that this newer class of women don't want. And it's crazy to me because those are the guys that's keeping the world structured. When everything goes down and we got to revert back to the days of you got to defend for yourself, survive for yourself, and do everything yourself, those are going to be the men and the guys that are sitting there that's keeping everything together, that every woman's going to want and every woman's going to run to, because they're the ones that's actually going to be able to build. It ain't going to matter how well you build a stock portfolio when the internet crashes and electricity grid goes out. It's going to matter how well you can build a house and bring home food from the land, right?
It's facts, man. And you know what's crazy is many people don't realize how well off the first world is, right? So people don't realize that engineers such as myself, the things that we manufacture and the things that we do, right, our material comes from miners in the third world. These miners who live in shacks that, guess what? They built themselves, right? Nobody built it for them. They did it themselves. Why? Because they had to, right? They set up all the systems themselves, all the electricity, whatever, because they had no other choice. In the first world, we've been very fortunate that we now have large companies who employ these workers who know how to build and everything and will build a house. And what's crazy is, though, what's happening is university students are moving into their dorm rooms, into their sky rises, their sky rise, right? They're moving into their sky rise, and they're thinking that this building just appeared by science, right? It was science that did this. They're like what's crazy is they don't even believe in, most university students don't believe in God, right? I blame the youth basically for the reason blue collar workers are beginning to essentially be underpaid, hated on, and just having a bad stigma around them, right? Be, being classified as toxically masculine, and all this other thing because, oh, it's a male dominated industry. Yeah, because no woman wants to get her hands dirty down some sewers or fixing something. So the point is, I blame the youth, and the reason I blame the youth is because in these universities they are so entitled, and they just do not understand how they got to where they are. They don't sit and be self-aware for a moment and think, hey, I'm sitting on a toilet 40 floors in the air. How did this get here? You know what I mean? How am I 40 floors up having a poo? Right? Like, and for the people who might laugh at that, for sure. It is kind of funny, but it's also true. Like, how
Yeah.
did you get there? Well, clearly because a bunch of guys who work under a company all got together, were contracted, and they put all up the steel, they put all the systems in, the pipes, the electricity, the systems. Then the people were hired. All this stuff. So somebody has to operate all of that. Somebody has to do all of that work. Somebody has to put in the labor. And that somebody, is he being paid fairly? Most of the time, not.
Yeah, bro, you're out there, you're putting out your blood and your sweat to build these things. It's long hours, times away from your family, usually extreme conditions. It's getting better now with OSHA and stuff going on, but them earlier days, bro, they was putting blue collar workers at some real risk just to get the job done and make sure things was, just get the job done, basically. So I don't think like people don't take for consideration how deep and how much thought and how much pressure it is to go into to build those types of things, even just from the architecture, the design, and the blueprints, and the people going out actually executing what somebody else thought of up on the screen or on a piece of paper. Now you got to make come to life and build, and not only make it come to life and build, but you got to make it safe. You got to go to your extremes because you're got to put yourself in danger at sometimes to even put things together, handling certain things, your body, your muscles, coming home sore. So, bro, I don't understand how the blue collar workers aren't more paid and more taken care of, because I said this multiple times. We're in a country that overvalues entertainment over security, and that's still in this situation. They might not be soldiers, police, or the firefighters, but they're giving us our houses, they're keeping us sanitary, they're keeping the lights on for us. They're still people that are holding the infrastructure together, and you're just underappreciated so much. I just don't get how we don't be thankful for those things. And everybody has to criticize, especially they get a house that everybody has their point where they want to criticize. Oh, I could have done that better. Well, could you? Could you really? If I put this all in your hands and a nail gun and all this stuff, could you really build a house better? Or do you not even know the measurements of what you're supposed to frame and put headers on and all that stuff, and what the windows are supposed to be and the door frames going? Do you even know all that shit? Because I bet you probably don't.
No, most people don't, and this is the problem again. Most people think it's easy work as well, and this again comes down to education. I'll keep bringing this up, and the reason being is because this is quite funny. I got into engineering through an apprenticeship, right? So for people who don't know what that means, that basically means that I worked on the job whilst doing my education. So this means that essentially I was working 4 days a week, and I'd go 1 day, sorry, to college, right? College, university, whatever you would call it. Now, because of those 4 days a week, I was gaining on hands experience. I wasn't just making a coffee and sitting down for the rest of the day. No, I was literally doing the work that other people were being paid $20, $25 an hour for. And I was being paid at the time, I remember my first ever wage was $7 an hour, bro. $7 an hour. That's all I was being paid. But I was learning on the job. Obviously, I was brand new at it. I was 16. So to me, I was like, yo, this is sick. So I loved it. But that's the thing. I had to go through that method, really, because I knew that if I just go to university like a lot of people do, I won't actually understand it. There is so many, and I can tell you this for a fact. I have met so many people who were got all their degrees and everything in university, and they came to work at an engineering company. They didn't have a clue. They had no idea what they were actually supposed to do. And so this is why I think the stigma was also created, because again, the education system is teaching people wrong who even want to go down this route. They're saying, "Oh, you should purchase this big, large education and then go work for a company." But when they turn up the company, what are they doing? They're doing what I was doing as an apprentice. Because why? Because the degree means nothing. The degree doesn't have a bearing, because they look at that and they go, "Okay, what on paper you have a rough idea, but you've never done it." And there's like a huge difference there. You have to put the hands on, you have to actually get in the trenches and do the thing in order to learn it and understand it. And so, again, this is why the stigma is also created, because people get angry at that. They're like, I put all this education and money, I put all this time into my education and money, and now I've come out of it and I've got nothing for it. I've got this crappy little position for it. So they think that it's the fault of like the companies and things like this. Like, it's not. That's not the company's fault. That's education's fault. That's the current education system's fault. So again, for the blue collar workers out there, you guys get this. You'll pick up some young person. They're lazy. They're constantly distracted. You don't want to work with them. And I don't blame you. I'm 23 years old and I get it. Like, I understand. Most of these people my age cannot focus in. And yet, the other thing is that they don't understand, though, if they did focus up, if they actually put the time into it, if they really started to understand it, they could get paid a lot of money doing what they do. But it's that most people feel as though, because of, and I hate saying this thing, because of society's view, right? Because of the view of a lot of other people, they undervalue themselves. And I see this with blue collar workers all the time. They undervalue themselves greatly because of basically the way the system currently works.
Yeah, and bro, and to the working with the young guys that are lazy point too, like you're in blue collar work, you're usually working with heavy machinery, you're messing with tools, operating, and working on different things. So bro, you somebody that's lazy and not paying attention could get somebody seriously hurt. So hell no, I don't want you around. At the end of the day, I'm still trying to make it home to my family. And that's the other thing too, like people don't understand how dangerous it is as a blue collar worker. Things you're doing, working on cars, that's a lot of machine right there. Building houses, working on houses, getting under houses, and that carpentry, that's a lot of machinery right there. Plumbing, that's a lot of machinery. Engineering, machinists,
Dude, exactly.
bro, it's too easy to get caught up in something and get hurt. Because even when I was at plumbing, like we go to the factories here and they do paper mills, bro. Them paper things are fucking ginormous.
Yeah, it's no joke, right? I knew a guy who folded paper from Manchester, bro. And like you say, it's no joke. Like, you think, oh, it's paper folding. Bro, it's no joke.
Bro, you walk in there, those paper bills are the sizes of school buses, bro. It's unreal how big those things are. And like just to walk in there and see them people working on it, I had a different appreciation for the factory workers. It just went like I already had an appreciation for them because that's where my dad works. He works in a factory. But seeing that firsthand, like even more so, I was like, oh yeah, these things are big. I was like, nah, these things are fucking huge. So I just don't think people get the gravity that we take for advantage, that like how severe some of these jobs are and how dangerous they are. And just because we see these carpenters, these electricians, these plumbers, these engineers and machinists come home, these blue collar workers come home all the time, you forget that there's a active danger to them every single day. And we kind of take it for granted that hey, mom and dad's coming home from this high risk job that we just see as a normal occurrence.
Yeah, yeah, it's so true. I mean, I remember myself. I've got scars still on my hands today, and they're very faded now. But like from like from like 4 or 5 years ago, simply because of like, yeah, I was doing tiling once with a friend of mine, right? And so it would, yeah, so a tiling bathroom, cutting it or grouting and all this other stuff. What people don't understand about tiling is that there's still even little dangers there, little things that you have to watch out for, including, right, when you're actually doing the tiling itself. It's very therapeutic, don't get me wrong, but it requires so much skill. Like, years upon years of solid learning to actually tile well, right? I mean, I've been around America a little bit now, and I've seen, bro, a lot of the tiling, even in places like Miami, bro, it sucks. Like, it's like these high end places, bro, and you're looking at the floor, and there's like some tiles off this way, some tiles off that way. You're like, bro, where did you like? Where are your eye? Where are your eyeballs? Right? And
Bro,
so,
that's that blue collar in you. You walk in somewhere and then see something that's just out of place. It's like that line's a little bit bigger than that line. That's
yeah,
out of
yeah.
place. That cabinet's messed up over there. And you're like, damn, I just can't get it out my vision.
Yeah, bro, you're looking, you're like, bro, who put the grout? Like, look at this thick line of grout right here. You know, you're like, why not put the tile there? Like, why did you cut it so short? Right? But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So even little jobs like that, though, bro. I remember we were breaking up the tiles, and the tool slipped out my hand, and I just punched the corner of this tile, bro. It went right deep into my hand. Oh, dude, it absolutely. I think I might be able to show it on camera. I don't know. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can see right there where I punched it, bro, and it went straight into my knuckle, man. I was like, damn. But yeah, man, like you say, but I still come home at night, so people like don't even think about it. And secondly, is because blue collar workers, and I'll say this, and maybe some people find it a little bit disrespectful, but it's kind of the truth. Blue collar workers complain the least out of anybody, bro. Out of anybody. Your blue collar worker, bro, will be shouted at. He'll be kicked. He'll injure himself multiple times. He'll be up on his feet for 12 hours. He'll have been dealing with the worst problems, everybody else's issues. He'll be getting blamed for things he hasn't done. And then he'll come home and be like, anyway, so what are we doing tonight? You know, like legit, he'll just like take a deep breath and get on with it. You know,
Yeah.
I've never seen that attitude in anybody else, really. Like throughout the world, there's one thing I can tell you: if you're a blue collar worker, if you're somebody who does these hard laboring jobs, without a doubt, you are somebody who complains very, very little.
Bro, because blue collar workers know they got that kind of common sense and that humbleness to know that one, if I don't show up and do this, ain't nobody else gonna show up and do it because they see the people that's applying every day. So there's blue collar workers have a different level of pride than everybody else. And I think because they know that they're underappreciated, they know that they're underpaid, but yet they still take pride in knowing that what I'm doing is actually helping my community, my friends, my family, everything is going. They still have that sense of pride where so many other jobs in this world, people has that thought process of, oh, I don't get paid enough for that shit. Could you imagine if all the blue collar workers had that thought process? I don't get paid enough for that shit while they're fixing your AC and your plumbing and putting all the shit together in the factory that you have ordered shipping from Amazon. And all this. Could you imagine if they had that mentality? Bro, you wouldn't have shit going on and this society would just be crumbled, bro. So the blue collar workers know if they don't do it, nobody else is going to do it. And they take pride knowing that even if nobody puts a cape on them or appreciates what they're doing, they're one of the reasons why the city is still running the way it's running.
Absolutely, man. And we're here where we want to put a cape on them right now. I tell you, man, because they are absolute heroes of the world, and people do not understand, man. People do not understand. You know, and again, I want to sit here and I want to say this now. I want, if you're somebody at home who doesn't even understand, like, how to build a house or has any idea, like any inkling, because you see, I've always thought since I started out as an engineer, I always thought that people had at least a basic understanding of this stuff. People don't, and that's fine. Like, comment, and that's okay because we don't educate people enough on it. But like, I want to educate you right now. Blue collar work, right, and whether it's carpentry, engineering, car mechanics, all this type of thing, there's some basic things you can apply to every single one of them. So the first thing you need to understand about blue collar workers is that what they do is very difficult. Okay, it doesn't matter what it is that they are doing. All of it is difficult, and the reason I say that is because it takes time to learn those skills. It takes at least a minimum of 2 years to get semi good at it, right? Depending on your level of your ability to learn. So if you've got a very good ability to learn something, then it might take you a year to get semi good at it. But on average, I'd say it takes about 2 years to become semi good at, like say, tiling, mechanics, any of these types of skills. The second thing you understand is that all blue collar workers, every single one of them, will not complain as much as they actually want to. So that's the other thing. Understand that their life is difficult and they are going through things, but they're not going to complain about it because that's just who they are, right? And the third thing that again applies to like all blue collar workers is that without a doubt they are underpaid, right? And we're not saying that underpaid as in, they earn like below average wage. No, because like we were saying before, they can earn 100K a year. However, what you don't understand is that for that 100K a year, they're putting in 70 hours a week, right? They're putting in 70 hours a week. They're doing the worst of the worst jobs. They're dealing with the worst of worst complaints. They're having to deal with customers that are like, I'm not going to pay you. I don't like what you did. And it's like, what do you mean you don't like what I did? Well, I just don't think it's very good. Okay, tell me what's wrong. I'm not going to tell you, right? They're dealing with all these types of things all the time. And that's what we mean by underpaid as well. So understand though, if you're a young guy and you're thinking, maybe I want to be an engineer, maybe I want to do this, or maybe you're somebody who's addicted to social media, and we'll get into social media in a minute. But if you're like an entrepreneur, for instance, you're like, I want to be like one of these guys on the internet. What should I go into? Or drop shipping, or trading, or like some online thing. Look, these guys promote online businesses 24/7. Why? Because they claim it's the easiest way to make money. It's super fast. Okay, maybe it is. Maybe it is. I don't know. But here's the one thing I will say, right? Is that if you set up a good blue collar company, right? If you, because there's plenty of innovations to make in the blue collar world as well. A lot of it's outdated, right? So there's tons of innovations to make. You got to understand that is $1 billion industry. It's not just millions; it's billions, like with a B, right? Multiple of billions, right? It's government contracts, right? We're talking stupid amounts of funding, and it's like the opportunity in blue collar work is insane as well. It's actually insane. So keep that in mind, right? Keep that in mind. 2 points there, which is that A, if you don't understand blue collar work at all, remember those 3 points and show respect to them. And two, understand that there is so much opportunity in blue collar work that if you're an entrepreneur, especially, and you're somebody who thinks outside the box, please get into it. You know what I'm saying? Please.
Yeah, because bro, that's what Justin Waller started off with, right? He had a construction company, started making money, invested in other places, real estate, a couple other companies. But bro, if you're really, a lot of people don't think of it that way. But if you go in there and you work and you learn what the construction is of any side of this blue collar work, I talk more construction because that's my side of what I did with carpentry and plumbing and journeyman work and shit like that. But if you learn that trade, then you build up into that construction and you get your name on a truck, you get your license and all that shit to be a contractor and all that, bro. You make money, you make bank, and you go out there, and then you got other people underneath you, and then you can dictate. If you've already been a blue collar worker, right? Then you go up and then you become contractor. Then you know that if you treat your employees the way you wanted to be treated when you was an employee, your company's already going to thrive because everybody that's in that field that works and is good within that field, they're going to come to you because they're already being underappreciated, maybe at their job, underpaid there, or the clients that they're having to deal with. If they know that they have a boss that's going to appreciate them, pay them fairly, and stick up to them when the customer is wrong, they're going to come to you off the bat. And when you have that, then they're more likely to do better work for you, more work that is more presentable, that you'll be proud of. And then your product speaks for yourself and your company flourishes better. Gary Vee speaks on this a lot, is that a lot of owners expect the employees to work as hard as the owner. But they're not taking, like, you're taking the risk, you're putting all this stuff. That's your company, not their company. They should be working to hold up the statue of the presidents you're wanting to hold there for your company and everything, but they're not supposed to put in the same exact effort as the owner. You're out there, supposed to bust your ass. So you take care of your employees, and your employees will help you take care of your business, and then your business will then help take care of your customers, and it'll flourish that way. And a lot of people underestimate how well their business could actually run and how better their business could be run if they just actually treated their employees the way that they should be treated as an employee, not as a partner in the company.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, man. And so I wanted to bring it onto the social media point as well that I mentioned. So another big issue in the world today is that a lot of young guys are influenced by obviously seeing social media. They see these kids my age, right, around my age, younger and older, who are like, yo, I'm making this much money drop shipping. I'm making hundreds of thousands drop shipping. I'm making hundreds of thousands investing. I'm making hundreds of thousands doing SMMA, SaaS, all these other things. And it's like, bro, okay, don't be wrong. You can make a good amount of money online. However, the innovation in that space is just dead. There is not like the innovation doesn't exist really anymore. And the reason I'm saying this is because most guys are coming into those industries and they're not trying to make something new. They're trying to copy something that's already been done. And that's okay to a degree, but at the end of the day, why like if you want to be a true entrepreneur, if you're truly an entrepreneur, right? You want to invent something, you want to own something, you want to change something about the world, right? Why not get into an industry which is outdated essentially? Well, it is. I'm not even essentially, it is outdated. Most of these companies are outdated. Most of these businesses have outdated systems, outdated rules, outdated like they're just because why these industries used to be obviously everything. The industrial age, right? They were everything in the world. So now it's fallen to the back seat because we had a new age that was the dawn of the information age, right? That was the web, the world wide web. Oh my god, there's so much opportunity there. However, with all these people going this way, everybody's been ignoring this side of things. And this side of things, what the truth is, and this is the reality, this side of things runs the world. This side of things does not, right? This side of things is just fun and creative and convenient. That's what I'm looking for. It's convenient. This side of the world, which is your online stores, your SaaS, your SMMA, all these types of things, that stuff is convenient. And it's true. This side is not convenient. This side is necessary. And as more of those people are dropping off the map, here's the other thing. As more of these people dropping off the map, the rise of demand goes up. And when demand is up, what goes up as well? Payment, right? So right now, although we still blue collar workers are still underpaid right now, we think 5-10 years down the line, bro, they're gonna get paid a hell like a lot of money, bro, a lot of money. Why? Because there's gonna be so little of them.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And that's what like the plumbing in my hometown is kind of like, to use an example, is that all these guys are in their 50s, 60s, and 70s now to own companies. Their kids don't want nothing to do with it. They don't want to go out there and plumb, because here, it's not a big franchise. You have to go out there. Your name's on truck. You're still working. It's hard to find some real loyal people around where I'm from anyway to work for you that you can really trust on and put them in the truck and go do all the work yourself. There's some, but there's very, very few. So they're about to be phased out. So, and there's surrounding cities in my city that don't have any plumbers in that their area. So when they call us, we got to drive 2, 3, 4 hours sometimes just to get to their place, because we're the closest plumbers they have, because their community don't even have any. And they're so thankful when we come out there. Usually it's a fucking list load of shit that we got to get done because they ain't seen a plumber in so long. But they're thankful because they don't have access to that every day. And I think that's to that point. And that's, my city's going to kind of be like that shortly too. When these other guys aren't taking over, there's going to be 1 or 2 plumbing companies. And then when you also have that type of structure, if you're only 2 plumbing companies in the city, who says what you get to charge? So it's there's competition for good for multiple reasons, and competition is usually good for the consumer as well. So as you start losing people that's doing that job, it's making that job harder and rare and more clients. So then they have to upcharge because they got to make time for stuff. So by losing blue collar workers, you're only going to cost yourself as the customer more in the long run. And I don't think people understand that either.
No, but again, it's a huge opportunity for the people who want to work hard. And again, if younger people understood, drop your entitlement, stop being lazy, get off your ass, and do some real hard labor, dude, you would make a lot of money. And you could then invest that money, like you say, into investments, into real estate, into the more online world where you can sit back and drink a margarita while you do your work. All that type of thing. I don't promote that, by the way. I don't promote all the sitting on the beach and like doing work because, bro, I don't know if any like I don't know how. Because you remember back in the day that used to be a thing where like I'm sitting on the beach and doing work. Like, bro, no, you're not. The sun's in your eyes. You can't see. There's sand all over your laptop, bro. You're not working on the beach. It sucks. But that's a side note. Anyway, it's a side note. But yeah, so that's again very true as well on the customer side of things, though as well. The customers don't understand why am I being charged so much for this job? Who else are you going to call? Right? Who else are you going to call? And this is where now where blue collar workers are dealing with a lot more complaints because customers are trying to get as much money off as they can, so they'll just complain at any little thing that they can, even though they have no idea what the job is, what actually was done. You know, they'll be like, "Well, you said you fitted a new toilet, but the bath looks off." It's like, you know, they'll just try to find any little thing to knock off money, and the reason being is because the fact that the customers are being charged a fair bit, and they're like, I don't want to pay all this much because they don't understand the value of that person. And again, that's because of social media, because social media puts more value on entertainment than it does on the real world and on real problems. So, you know, customers need to understand, if you're somebody out there, you hire, let's say you hire a guy to come out and fix, we're talking about toilets a lot and things because it's obviously the most common, but let's even say something like you hire somebody to come out and tile your bathroom, right? And let's say it's a bathroom the size of like what you can see in this frame right here. So like this corner and like up to where I am, right? So for the people at home, so they can kind of understand the size. That's a fairly sized bathroom. So let's say somebody comes in, you want some nice tiles. You've already kind of said, I want these tiles here, blah, blah, blah. A, you've got to pay for the square foot of the tile, right? So you've got to pay for enough tiles first and foremost, right? B, you've got to then pay for the utilities, the sink, all this other stuff, the worktops, right? The cupboards. Do you want new cupboards? Do you want them painted, right? Then you've got to pay for basically the degree of which work you want to have done. So if you want somebody to do it at a cheap, you'll expect tiles to be off, expect no patterns, no special setups, nothing. It's just gonna be cut, stick, done, right? The grout's gonna be all over. It's gonna be terrible. So, or if you want the top work, you'll have the laser set up. They'll be doing everything meticulously. Do little patterns if you want little patterns. You know, do little
Mosaic.
shelves, mosaics. Exactly. Guess what? That's going to cost you for that kind of a job in this size room. You could be talking like $7,000, $8,000, probably even more, right? For somebody who actually do a proper job. And yet you're going to sit there and complain and say, oh, well, this person is charging too much. And you're saying it was $3,000 worth of parts. And you're saying you're going to charge me another $4,000 for the work. Well, hold on. He's got 10 years of experience. You're paying for the 10 years of experience. How many hours is it going to take? Well, it's going to take 2 weeks of his time. That's 2 weeks that he could be spending doing other jobs that will pay him just the same amount of money, right? Number three, he's got to make sure that everything's clean, right? He's got to put those hours in. He's got to injure himself for the sake of your work, right? So maybe his back's hurting, but he's got to get the job done. So you're paying for that as well, right? He's got to pay for the fuel. How far away does he live? Oh, well, you're calling him from 2 towns over. Why? Because there is no other tilers in your area, right? So you got to pay for that fuel as well.
Insurance on yourself and insurance on your
Insurance,
tools, insurance on your vehicle,
your
insurance on the
tools,
other employees that you have there as well.
bro.
Um,
All of this, like you're paying for all that. Reality is when you break down the costs, you realize, oh, I'm really getting it for like nothing in comparison. Like all these things that he's paying for, sometimes a guy working a job like that, like a Tyler, let's say he'll pay an employee on a contract for 3 months. So this means that his first two jobs might not even pay off that employee. So that he's paid that employee 3 months of a contract, but two of those jobs he's literally going to be taking a loss on just so he can bring that other guy with him. So it's like this is what customers don't understand. This is why like they have to charge so much, and this is why again we say that they're underpaid because people don't understand the value of that, right? And it's like, do you want to live in a crappy house or do you want to live in a nice house, right? Do you want to live where your poop is leaking out the toilet? Of course not, right? Do you want to live in a place where every time you turn the sink, it like takes forever to come through the pipes and it's cranky and boom, it bursts out when it's a hot day. It's like, oh man, it's bursting. And when it's freezing, there's no water because the pipes are clogged up. You don't want none of that. So pay somebody correctly to fix that for you. But you don't think like that. You're too short term. Everyone's TikTokified. All these customers are out here thinking, "Oh, well, hey, I want it right now," and like they don't think ahead, bro. They don't think ahead.
and it gets to me too because I know it's different in area and different with everybody, but within my area, like the blue collar workers do, like the electrician, carpentry, plumbing, all those types of things. They figure out what material cost is and all that stuff, what it's going to cost to do the job, and usually then their markup is like 1 to 4%. That's it. Bro, y'all are sitting here buying Jordans for $120, $150 that takes $2 to make, and y'all sitting here paying 200-300% markup, but y'all want to complain about the 1 to 4% markup because it seems like it's higher when really it's not that much higher. It's just the material of shit is what it costs. And that's the thing with blue collar workers. Y'all think that it's a negotiable price. No, it's really not, because we got to pay for the materials and we got to get them from the store. We got to get them from the supply house. We can't negotiate the price of what supplies cost. Politics sometimes get involved in that when they have tariffs on steel and stainless and that shit. Then it makes products like hot water tanks go up and shit like that. So then that trickles down to you too. And then you're like, well, why your price is going up? Because materials going up.
Licensing as well. Some things can't be
Yeah.
done without licenses. These licenses can cost tens of thousands of dollars.
Permits. Yep.
Like you've got a guy who paid so much money and time, right? He paid in time, and not just money. He paid in time of his life to become good at what he does. And you're going to complain when he's trying to fix something for you that you've asked him to fix, and you're going to complain at him, not again, not thinking ahead of like, oh well, this is now going to last me 5 years. Like if I hired the right guy and actually pay him properly, it will last me 5 to 10 years. I won't have to pay for that again. So when you break down $7,000 over 5 to 10 years, you realize, oh well, actually that's not that much. Exactly. So but whereas your Jordans, right? You say you pay $120. How long do they last you? 6 months. 6 months. You're wearing them every day. You somebody stomps on them. You get into a fight at the club. Like you pour alcohol on them. 6 months later,
They
they're
get
ruined.
creases in them.
Yeah, not just that. Not just that. 6 months later, what else happens? They've got another new pair, and it's all the rage. Your pair's now old. Ooh, look at that pair. That's nothing. Or he hasn't
Yep.
got no money. He hasn't got the new pair. Like the point we're trying to make is that, and we're talking to you guys specifically. A lot of you value fashion and entertainment and style and status more than you value the safety of your home, the security of your items, the longevity of your life, right? The longevity of your life, really, your life quality. So, like, rewire that bit of your brain and realize that, like, man, like blue collar workers, bro, they're so underpaid, they're so underrated. It's like it's the underdogs of the world right now is blue collar workers, and it's the underdogs of industry as well. Like coming back to that entrepreneur point, bro. I want to dig into that just a bit more. Please, like for the young entrepreneurs out there watching this, for the people thinking I want to do something but I'm not sure, think about blue collar work. Think about, okay, what if I take a hit right now and I take some of this crap that we're talking about today. You take some of the crap from the customers and the crap from the people to earn a little bit of money from blue collar. Let's say you learn it in 3 months, right? Because you just dedicate yourself to it, and maybe you're not good in 3 months. I don't think you'll be good, but you can at least understand it to the degree that you can be an emergency plumber. You can be a machinist. You can be a mechanic, right? You can do these things in 3 months, right? You can't do all the advanced stuff yet, but you can do these things in 3 months, and you can learn it from YouTube. You can learn it for free. That's the other thing. You could learn it whilst getting paid. You could get a job. You could come up to a guy and say, "Look, I have a basic understanding of this stuff. I'm self-educated. I've done this. I've done that. I've done this. I'm going to come up to you and I'm going to ask you for $12 an hour right now, just right now, for the first 3 months or whatever. I'm going to ask for you for $12 an hour to work in your shop, help you out, and all that sort of thing. Do you think they're going to turn you down? They'll be like, okay, when can you turn up? What times? All this other stuff. They'll be like, yo, come. Like, legit, here in Texas, I go down the street, bro. There's so many places hiring. Guess what? Blue collar workers. So, with that in mind, like I say, digging into this entrepreneur point. So, you start there. And then in 6 months' time, once you've learned and had a lot of hands on experience, then you can turn around and say, okay, now I've got a bit more hands on experience. Now I'm going to try to get a pay rise. Now I'm going to try to earn more money from this because now you've been doing it for 6 months. So then try to earn more money from it. If your current boss says no, you say, all right, no problem. You move on, right? And instead, you've got to take your work elsewhere to somebody who will pay you more, and they will pay you more because the more experience you have, the more you get paid in blue collar work. That's the good thing. The better you are at what you do, the more you get paid. So you can see a return from the time you put in. And then from there, if you work another 6 months, whilst you're doing that work, you can do what? You can start starting your own business. You can start using the clients that you've gained and the relationships you've made throughout your time working at another person's business, right? This is the interesting thing. And so from there, then you can take it to your own business. And from there, you can start innovating. You can start seeing, okay, what's wrong with the industry currently? What do other people do that I can do differently? Right? Because there is so much opportunity and things to do, like trust. There is so many things to do.
Bruh, and that's exactly how I looked at it. Obviously, things happen and I veered off, and I went and done my media company now with how social media took off. But that's how it was when I was like, because I was changing over carpentry to plumbing because carpentry was starting to tear on my body with all the injuries I had from the military. So I was like, I need something that's not carrying around full sheets of plywood all damn day. So I was going into plumbing, but my thought process was this: okay, 3 years as a apprentice, and I get my license. 5 years I can go and have my own contract. So I was like, okay, that's the goal. Let's go work 3 years, get my apprentice, and once I got my journeyman's license, I need to work another 2, maybe 3 more years, fully understand everything I need to know, then go pass my contractor's test, then pay my contractor's license. I can have my own company 5 to 6 years. Cool. And then my thought process was this too: how many people get to train for their company and get paid for it? You got to pay to go to college to learn how to do your lawyers and your doctors and all that shit. I'm going to show up every day. You're going to teach me what I need to do to run a company and run a plumbing business. And you're going to pay me while you're teaching me how I need to do the job and how to run a company as well. I'm in. 5 years I get paid training. Let's go. And then I make sure I learn every little detail, every little part of it that I could, every tool we need, how we run things, how you handle the customer, how you handle the books. Learn all that time in those 5 period of times. Try to every time is a new scenario, because blue collar work, bro. You can go work on something and it always be different. You can be tiling for 10, 15 years and every tile job will not be the same. There's always some little quirky little thing that's always different. So you're getting that experience of knowledge, and then that helps you increase your value of your company later on because you've been through a lot of experience and you know how to fix things. So bro, if you can start thinking of the process like, oh, I gotta go do this for this long before I get that, bro, they're gonna pay you to teach you to do what you're wanting to do and run a corporation and run a business later on. If you just buckle down and take the hard roads, work in those climates, do the hard work, blood, sweat, and tears, it's going to be worth it in the long run if you actually set your goals and know what you're trying to become and what you're trying to achieve and stick to your plan.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And you know, um, again, in terms of the innovation, innovation comes in many ways, but it's like the tools, the systems we use to put things together. Man, there are so many ways you can do it, and there's so many new ways of doing it. I've worked in a few different positions, blue collar wise. I was an engineer mainly, but I've done a bit of tiling. I've done a bit of gardening, right? I've done a bit of fencing and all this type of thing. And I realized, dude, there's so many different ways you can build things and put things together. And, is one better than the other? Maybe, maybe not. But here's the thing: you could start to break it down. Okay, one might save time. Okay, well, what's the quality of work like? Is it the same? Is it worse? Is it better? Oh, well, it's actually the same. Oh, well, that's great. So I'm saving time and it's the same quality of work. Dude, this should be like a process that I make. Hold on, if I make this into my own process, I could sell that process, right? If I sell that process, I can make a ton of money actually contributing to the function of the world, right? Like, it's, bro.
Bro, that's what sold me on carpentry, was kind of the fascination that you could look at a tree and turn it into so many different things if you just had the skill. It can be a table, it can be a chair, it can be a desk, it can be a dresser, it can be a bed, it can be part of a house. That tree, it can be paper. That tree is so limitless if you just have the skills to know how to work the tree, and you can make anything that you ever need in life from that tree if you just use it right and know the skills and know how to use your tools.
Yeah, absolutely. And for young guys as well, what something you said earlier was actually really profound without even realizing it. Is that you couldn't do it anymore because of certain injuries, right? And this was something that I now realize, now that I moved out of it and I moved into sales and things. I realized, oh, like actually sticking at blue collar work would have done me well, because why? I could recover from injuries way faster than the guys above me. The guys above me who are older, the one thing that they don't have that young people have is the ability to recover. And that is another big reason why young people should really get into blue collar work. Because if you work hard as a blue collar worker from the age of 20 to 30, and we keep saying blue collar worker, I mean, I want to say if you work hard in the blue collar industry, because you don't have to be a worker, you can be an owner, right? So if you work hard in the blue collar industry from the age of 20 to 30, 35 years old, you would easily be a millionaire, right? If you genuinely commit to that, you would easily be a millionaire by the age of 30, 35 if you start working hard in the blue collar industry from the age of 20. And the biggest reason being is because when you injure yourself, and it will happen in the blue collar industry, it's again, we say, it's more common than you think. It's not terrible injuries, but you might strain your back, right? You might pull a hamstring, right? And things like this. And you'll be like, more like the guys who are in their 50s, they're out for weeks. You're back in it a week later. You're like, all right, brother, I just gotta get on. Why? Because you're young, you recover fast. So there is no better time to do it than that age where you can actually recover, because this is why all fighters, right? Khabib says this. If you want to be a fighter, you should start from the age of like 17, even younger than that, right? If you want to be a professional fighter, you should, like, the latest age I think he was talking about is like if you're at like your 20s, it's too late for you. That's what Khabib says. And it's because you've got to learn from such an early age to take the injuries and things, because you can recover in those early days. When you start getting to your 30s and 40s, you ain't recovering the same. You just aren't. So you can make the most amount of money in the early days.
Bruh, and I'll say this though, I challenge some of these young boys to go out here and work with some of these dudes that's been doing blue collar work all your life, bro. There's some 60, 70-year-old men that'll outwork your ass out here in these jobs. And bro, trust me, the owner of one of the companies I used to work for, he was like 66. He outworked everybody out there when we're doing a roughing on the plumbing. No shade, digging tunnels, trenches, laying the pipes, outwork every single body. And blue collar workers, bro, you know that if you don't show up a lot of times as plumbers, especially in carpenters, if I don't show up, there's nobody to show up for that job. Usually each truck has their own job, and if I don't show up, then all those jobs that they align for me aren't getting done. So, bro, there's some blue collar workers, and I've seen them in plumbing. They'll pull hernias, still come in, show up, ready to work, and still outwork your ass. So, bro, there's a saying in blue collar work and blue collar industry is, it builds character. And that's exactly what it does. There's a lot of hardship and a lot of tough things that you got to endure, but man, damn if it don't build some character on your ass.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is kind of my point really, to be fair, is that those older guys have the discipline at this point where they will turn up even if they're super ill and injured and all this other thing. It's like, and that was developed because they started at a young age. So again, this is why it's another great industry to be in, because from a young age you will build an unimaginable amount of discipline upon yourself. And also, again, they turn up, but it's not easy for them, right? Like, let's not get twisted. Like, yes, they will turn up and they're hard as nails, but it is not easy for them. It's so easy for a young guy. I know, I did 6 years in the industry, bro. For me to turn up was so easy compared to some of the other guys. There was a 60-something-year-old machinist I knew, bro. This guy would use like a big old hammer and everything, and like you know smacking up the machine and putting all his tools in on this old machine. And it was a super labor intensive job setting up this machine. This guy would just crack on, bro. And he was like 67 years old or something. And it was like, he was me at 20 years old, and I'd be like, oh, I don't want to come in because I got a bad tummy. Like, bro, like, I used to just be like, damn, if this guy's like 67 and he can turn up and I'm sitting here complaining about a tummy ache, bro, like, shut up, get yourself in. That was my reaction to it. So it builds a lot of discipline, and it's so much easier for you as a young guy than as of the old guy, Like, I have no doubt that guy was probably in pain a lot of those days, but to him, it was just something to do, something to get on with. Like, he didn't need to be there. At that point, he'd earned enough money, but he was like, bro, he's like, I don't want to be at home all day.
Bruh, and at some point you realize like complaining about this only makes it longer, and I'm gonna hurt anyway. I might as well just try to figure out how to get this done quicker because I'm gonna hurt regardless. So let me figure out how to get this done with the least amount of pain. And I think that's your point, and I mean it's true. The older guys are still hurting and they have the discipline, where the younger guys have the willpower and the energy, but not the discipline. And then I think that's when that turn comes when you hit older. Like we look at now, it's like, man, When I was younger, I could stay out, drink all night, get like 3, 4, 5 hours of sleep, show up and work and fine. Now I'm getting a full 8, 9 hours of sleep. I'm showing up, I'm stiff, I'm hurting, I'm this and that. So, but yet they still have to show up because they know they got the responsibilities and the discipline. So, yeah, to your point, the younger guys, they have the willpower, you have the energy, you have your youth. Now, if you can just instill the discipline to show up every day, even when you don't want to, you'll lay the forefront of for a great future and a foundation for a good future for yourself.
Yeah. And not to mention that it this kind of sounds insane, but it's kind of true. Working in that industry and actually dedicating yourself to it truly, like truly dedicating yourself to it and with the mindset of an entrepreneur. So not with the mindset of an average person, but with an entrepreneur's mindset, if you dedicate yourself to that industry, it's almost impossible not to become a millionaire in 15 to 20 years in that industry. Like say maybe even 10, if you really have a solid mindset. If you're able to just discipline yourself and commit to that industry, I don't see how you wouldn't become one. Because like we say, you could earn upwards of 100K a year doing your own business with it. Especially, once you've got a clientele and all this built up and you start to hire people, you can earn over 100K a year easy. And so if you can earn over 100K a year, obviously you got to pay for taxes, certain things are expenses, etc. But let's say you take home maybe 50, right? Like I say, that's 20 years, so it's like, the truth is, I just don't see how you wouldn't become one if you truly truly put your effort and time into it. It just takes a lot of discipline, and I'll sit here and admit myself, because like I say, I used to be in this industry as an engineer. I'll say myself that I used to feel very underpaid and undervalued, and that's the reason I left the industry, because I was like, I'm not going to keep on doing this thing where I'm completely undervalued, especially in the UK. We've got so much like outsourcing now to foreign European countries and things, bro. There's like the work's not even there really. Um, but as an engineer in the UK, what you find is, like I say, that undervalued, underpaid system. And it's like, if I stuck at it and I started thinking back then as an entrepreneur, which I wasn't, but if I did, I'd have probably realized, oh, if I stick at this, I'm going to meet certain people, certain high level individuals, especially considering I could work my way up to managing director at the company I was at. So if I could become a managing director at one of the facilities in the nation, I'll get even close to it. I'm going to meet some very high level individuals. I could then start innovating. I could start changing things, and more importantly, I could start my own thing with funding from, guess what, the shareholders and things that I've met from being in that high level position. So again, there is huge opportunities there. It's just that you have to have an entrepreneur's mindset. And yeah, don't sleep on it. Don't sleep on it, because, and also again, even if you don't want to build a business in that area, use it to fund a business, because you can earn, just as an individual, you can earn a lot of money doing that work.
Yeah, and don't just get discouraged of what your end goal is. Like, stay focused and realize what the end goal is, because there's going to be hard days. There's going to be days where you're like, man, what I am doing and what I'm getting paid right now is not adding up. It's not. But you got to realize that if you have your long goal vision that, okay, I'm building in this industry, or I'm using this industry to fund what I'm wanting to do, then you have to realize that it's not about right now. It's about what's going to happen later on. So keep focused on what the end goal is. Even if today sucks and the pay is not equaling to what the work is, it's going to pay off in the long run. It's a marathon. It's not a race. Stay the pace. Keep going. Keep pushing. Keep your eyes forward and on your end goal, and everything will be just fine.
Facts, absolute facts. Look, this has been an absolute blast, Leonard, and I think we're going to talk about this more, guys, because we see it these days. Again, we see the blue collar industry being pushed away, pushed down, and not even directly. It's a lot of it's happening indirectly, and the reason being is because people won't come out and actually say to somebody's face, "Oh, you're a dirty," you work in the sewers. Ooh, like they will. To be fair, even now, yeah, they really are now. But um,
I was
a
about to
lot.
say.
Yeah, they do actually now, don't they? It's at that point where it's even gotten that bad, where they'll like straight up call people dirty and all those other things for working as a blue in a blue collar position. So yeah, just you know, we see it, man. They're underrated. They're underrated. We're underrated, I guess. Is what we should say. We used to be blue collar workers, and at the end of the day, we want to shine a light on and educate some people about this. Because there's a lot missing, and people don't understand the type of work that goes into it. People don't understand that these are the people who built society. Like what you live in, they built it. Like I say, it didn't appear out of nowhere. These phones, all these things, they not come out of nowhere, bro.
Built it and keep it running, bro.
Yeah, build it and keep it running, bro. And a lot of people are hating these days on 9 to 5 jobs and corporate America, etc. But you've got to understand something, that somebody has to keep society working, and in doing so, you can find a lot of money in that space if you have the right mindset. So therefore, if you are willing, like I say, to take that hit initially, the future will be so bright for you. It's unreal. Why? Because, like I say, this industry is needed. It is a necessary thing. It's not just that people want it, it's that it is legitimately necessary all the time, forever. Like till infinity, really. Because to some degree, even if you had robots building everything, etc., who's going to fix the robots? Who's going to program the robots? You know what I'm saying? So it's always going to be needed. Always going to be needed. Yeah, man. That's all I have to say, really.
No, absolutely. Because when everything hits the fan, like you've seen, bro, and I ain't trying to speak no ill will, but you've seen with these other countries, they've civilized. But when war happens, bro, it's right back to infrastructure and the things that matter. And I think that's something that we've gotten too accustomed with here in America, is that we think that that'll never happen here, but it could just in one day change everything, and all that stuff could be wiped out. And we got to go back to those things. So those are jobs, and those are skills that we're always going to need, no matter how advanced we get or how primal we got to go back. Those blue collar traits and those blue collar skills are always going to be needed throughout time. So, yeah, absolutely.
All right, man. Well, we will catch you guys in the next episode. Peace.